Time magazine. Government's new right to track your every move with GPS. Government agencies can sneak into your property in the middle of the night, put a GPS on the bottom of your car, and keep track of everywhere you go. And apparently this does not violate your Fourth Amendment rights. You know, the one about the illegal search and seizure, to be securing your privacy because you do not have any reasonable expectation of privacy in your own driveway, and no reasonable expectation that the government is not tracking your movements. You know, so you're just supposed to assume that they are tracking your movements. That is the bizarre and scary rule that now applies in California and 8 other western states. The United States Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, aka the Ninth Circus, which covers this vast jurisdiction, recently decided the government can monitor you in this way virtually anytime it wants, with no need for a search warrant. It is a dangerous decision, one that, as the dissenting judge warned, could turn America into a totalitarian state imagined by George Orwell in his book 1984. It is particularly offensive because the judges added insult to injury with shocking class bias. The little personal privacy that still exists, the court suggested, should belong mainly to the rich. The case began in 2007 when Drug Enforcement Administration agents decided to monitor Juan Pineda Moreno, an Oregon resident who they suspected was growing marijuana. They snuck onto his property in the middle of the night and found his Jeep in his driveway a few feet from his trailer home. And then they attached the GPS tracking device to the vehicle's underside. After Pineda Moreno challenged the DEA's actions, a 3-judge panel of Ninth Circuit judges ruled in January that it was all perfectly legal. More disturbingly, a large group of judges on the circuit, who were subsequently asked to reconsider the ruling, decided this month to let it stand, of all things. Pineda Moreno has pleaded guilty conditionally to conspiracy to manufacture marijuana and manufacturing marijuana while appealing the denial of his motion to suppress evidence obtained with the help of the GPS. Okay, so he's fighting based on he's appealing the denial of his motion. He's trying to suppress the evidence obtained with the help of the GPS. In fact, the government violated Pineda Moreno's privacy rights in 2 different ways. For starters, the invasion of his driveway was wrong. The courts have long held that people have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their homes and in the curtilage, a fancy legal term for the area around the home. The government's intrusion on property just a few feet away was clearly in this zone of privacy. Okay, so you just, government agents, it's okay to prowl right around your property. The judges veered into offensiveness when they explained why Pineda Moreno's driveway was not private. It was open to strangers, they said, such as delivery people and neighborhood children who could wander across it uninvited. Yeah, well, that's kind of different from police investigators, SWAT teams, soldiers, ain't it? Chief Judge Alex Kozinski, Chief Judge, dissented from this month's decision, refusing to reconsider the case, and he pointed out whose homes are not open to strangers, and that would be rich people's homes. Rich people's homes, he said, Judge Kozinski said, are not open to strangers. The court's ruling, he said, means that rich people who protect their homes with electric gates and fences and security booths and guards have a large protected zone of privacy around their homes. And, people who can't afford such barriers have to put up with the government sneaking around at night. I guess the Ninth Circuit thinks that, don't grow marijuana unless you're rich. Judge Kozinski is a leading conservative appointed by President Ronald Reagan, but in his dissent, he came across as a raging liberal. There has been much talk about diversity on the bench, but there's one kind of diversity that doesn't exist. No truly poor people are appointed as federal judges or as state judges for that matter. The judges in the majority he charged were guilty of cultural elitism. Well, good for you. Call him like you see him, Judge. That's absolutely true. Liberal judges, man. A bunch of liberal elites. You know, the ones who let people go, murderers. And, when there's plenty of evidence, when the guy says he's done it, let him go, release him on his own recognizance to appear back in court. Yeah, you know, or, you know, commute his sentence because of, you know, having a hard life because someone stole his, you know, Nintendo when he was a little kid or something, and so, yeah, he had to suffer life in the slums with no Nintendo. It made him a very mean person. Yes, he was held down by the man. Let me see. Yes, the court went on to make a second terrible decision about privacy, that once a GPS device has been planted, the government is free to use it to track people without getting a warrant. There is a major battle underway in the federal and state courts over this issue, and the stakes are high. After all, the government agents can track people with secretly planted GPS devices virtually any time they want without having to go to court for a warrant. So we're one step closer to a classic police state, with technology taking a role of the formerly like the KGB did, or the East German Stasi, or the Gestapo in Nazi Germany. Fortunately, other courts are coming to a different conclusion from the Ninth Circuit. Yeah, fortunately. Including the influential Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia Circuit. So that court ruled also this month that tracking for an extended period of time with GPS is an invasion of privacy that requires a warrant. This issue is likely to end up in the Supreme Court, where it'll be struck down by, you know, the newbies, Kagan and Sotomayor, most probably. I speculate, I surmise, I predict they will be on the side of tracking you with a GPS. In these highly partisan times, GPS monitoring is a subject that has both conservatives and liberals worried. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Court's pro-privacy ruling was unanimous, decided by judges appointed by Presidents Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Bill Clinton. Now, plenty of liberals have objected to this kind of spying, but it is the conservative Chief Judge Kaczynski who has done so most passionately. 1984 may have come a bit later than predicted, but it's here at last, he lamented in his dissent. And invoking Orwell's totalitarian dystopia, where privacy is essentially non-existent, he warned someday soon we may wake up and find we're living in Oceania. Okay, if you have read the book, you'd understand that reference.